morning I'll be reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 9, verses 35 through 38, and chapter 10, verses 8 through 23. Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belts. No bag for your journey, or no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff, for laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who is in it that is worthy, and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. See, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves, so that as wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware of them, for they will hand you over to councils and flog you with their synagogues, and you will be dragged before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. When they hand you over, do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say, for what you are to say will be given to you at this time. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. And children will rise against parents and have them put to death, and you will be hated by all because of my name. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. When they persecute you in one town, flee to the next. For truly I tell you, you will have gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes." These are the words of God for the children of God.
Thanks be to God.
start with prayer today. To the God who listens as we gather today, let our listening originate, not in our own ears, but in our hearts, so that we may hear the true essence of your word. Remind us that you are always listening, always hearing our heart's desire, and we trust that you will respond in your divine time. Amen. Today is a day of celebration. For many reasons, we're meeting here together in this beautiful sanctuary at Rolling Prairie United Methodist Church after being apart for 12 Sundays. Seemed like forever. June 14th is a historic day in history for our country. Today is the birthday of the Army. Created by the Continental Congress on June 14th, 1775, on this day, George Washington was elected Commander-in-Chief. This is also Flag Day, celebrated on June 14th to commemorate the adoption of the American flag in 1777. On this June 14th, 2020, I want to remind you that there is no greater gift than to be listened to. We know the words, listening and hearing. Hearing is a biological experience. Our ears, they hear the sound. And it's processed, it goes through our brain. Then in turn, it fosters further understanding of what's been said. Listening, though, takes on a different process. When we listen, we bring on lived experiences. And we can be sympathetic, empathetic, care about someone, understand what they're going through. We've got a common thread that's running through that connects us to what we've heard. We heard the words of Psalm 116 today, where the writer says that the Lord hears his request for mercy and listens closely to his cries. The psalmist has a confidence in God's listening capabilities. There are many things the psalmist could name as the first thing that he wrote there, but he put the act of listening first. Knowing that God is not simply hearing but listening to us matters so much in a time when the voices of the marginalized are often heard as inconvenient interruptions. Like a mosquito buzzing around our ear. We don't like it, but we figure it'll go away in no time. And that's the same kind of thing I think we're going through. Knowing that God is not simply hearing but listening to us matters so much in a time of this right now, and the cries that we hear from people and the things that are happening in our world. Yesterday I was talking with some people and one of them said, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with this. I think we all think about that. We do care for the people that things are happening to, and we love them. But we don't understand why other things come around. Yes, the caring and the sympathy to people, but the other things of looting and hurting people and that type of thing, that's just so uncalled for. And we need to keep praying about that. God is the best listener. You don't need to shout nor cry out loud because he hears even the silent. There are times when we are to remain silent. And there are times when we are to speak up. The times when Christians are to remain silent are when we're removing ourselves from conflict, listening to instruction, and when we're controlling our speech. Sometimes we must go before the Lord and stand still in his presence. Sometimes we need to be silent and get away from distractions in order to hear the Lord. In this morning's gospel lesson from Matthew, we know that Jesus is traveling all around to many cities and villages. He's teaching and he's healing to the point that he laments that the people are harassed and they're helpless like sheep without a shepherd. It's exactly for this purpose that in Matthew that he tells his disciples, I'm sending you out. I'm sending you out like sheep in the midst of these circumstances that we're going to. You're going to come across things. You're going to come across serpents, but I ask you to be innocent as doves. And he doesn't hold back about what he knows will happen in the future. He goes on to share what's happening, and he knows that there'll be uncomfortable circumstances. We're living through those. And yet those uncomfortable times when we provided what to do and what to say, as he said, I will tell you what to say when you get there. You don't need to figure it out. And there's times in our life when we really listen to the promises of God. And there's times in our lives when we don't really listen to the promises of God. As I mentioned, I think a couple weeks back in one of my messages, I'll get to that. Yes, I'll get to that. Keep reminding me. Like Betty's phone. Betty has an alarm going off. Ding, 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 to remind her of something. We always know something's coming up when Betty's phone rings. Both 1:16 from Psalms and Matthew point toward the impact of listening to God and hearing his promises, even the ones that are impossible to believe. During my life, I've heard numerous people share that God spoke to them. Years ago, another Betty, not this one here, would tell me about all the times that God had spoken to her. And as I mentioned, he communicates with everyone differently. And that wasn't how he communicated with me. He didn't just tap me on the shoulder and say, Joella, this is happening. He used other avenues, and those worked better for me. To speak is to say words. To hear is to listen or receive what is spoken by the mouth. I believe that God speaks not only through words. I think he speaks through creation. I think he speaks through everything that happens in our lives. Charles Surgeon once said, God seems to talk to me in every primrose and daisy, and smile to me from every star, and whisper to me in every breath of morning air, and call aloud to me in every storm. We've been given a great gift. If words are not your forte, nature speaks. If nature's not your forte, music speaks. And we can go on and on. God always hears our prayers. Maybe our answers are neglected because they're not received in the time that we expect them to, but they're always answered. I have the privilege of knowing a wonderful gentleman named Craig Courtney that writes music. He lives in Ohio. He's our conductor and director for Epworth Forest Choir School that I go to. And he works for Beck and Horst Publishing, and he wrote a wonderful song entitled Wordless Prayer. And I invite you to go online and check that out and listen to that completely. His name is Craig Courtney. But here's a few lines that I'd like to share. My words lie still and lifeless as dust upon the sand. I can no longer voice one request or one demand. Spirit, come and rest your ear upon my heart. Oh, come and hear my wordless prayer, my silent plea, and take them all away from me. Take them from this heart of mine to the Father's heart divine. Speak in words unheard to man, that God may hear and understand. I'll close with this reading today. I love the Lord because he hears my request for mercy. My requests are sometimes loud, sometimes silent, sometimes frequent, sometimes irregular, but they come. I'll call out to him as long as I live. To what end will I stop calling on the Lord? For as long as I have breath, I will call upon the Lord, because he listens closely to me. Thanks be to God that God listens to me, for when my mouth has no words to say, my heart speaks. Lord, hear our prayer. Amen. I want to tell you a few instructions. We're going to have Bruce start dismissing at the back of the sanctuary. I'm not going to be down there shaking hands. I want you to know that I've hugged you all today, and I love you for being here. We're going to sing our last song, and then Bruce will start in the back. He'll open the doors, and Tom will open the doors outside, and we ask you to be blessed as you leave today. We thank you for being here. Our last song is the Star Spangled Banner, and I invite you to stand if you're able. We invite you to join us. It's in your bulletin. It's going to be up here, I believe. It's meant a lot to all of us while we've been separated from one another. So we ask you to join us. And after that, I'm going to send you on our ways. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Amen.